So drop Jomashop or Ashford.com. What's up, guys? It's your boy Rich here. So I thought today we'd talk about buying our next watch from Drop, which is formerly known as Massdrop. I think they offer a pretty good business model and a great deals and a pretty unique way for us to get our watches. But I wouldn't say that they've invented anything new. I would say that they've reinvented a pretty cool way for us to buy our watches. And I would liken Drop to Kickstarter. On Kickstarter, if we're interested in a watch, we go on the wait list and then we have to wait for the watch to be fully funded, and then it enters production. And that's normally because a manufacturer it's not worth their time to make only 2 or 3 watches for a brand. So that's why on Kickstarter, it's usually you have to wait for the watch to be fully funded. And that is a lot like with Drop. If we're interested on a watch at Drop, we do have to wait for the minimum order or the threshold to be met. And then they go directly, and a lot of times directly, to the manufacturer, where we will actually get a manufacturer's warranty. So just like Kickstarter, Drop relies on the all or nothing deal. And that is one of its biggest drawbacks. So, if we are interested in a watch, we have to rely on the fingers crossed, pray, and knock on wood that everyone else is interested in that watch, or where it meets that minimum threshold, or we do not get that watch at that great deal. The other portion of that is because there is no guarantee that that watch will sell through. Even if it does, there is a waiting period because Drop allows a certain period of time for that threshold to be met. And then after it is met, it goes directly, in a lot of cases, directly to the manufacturer with the manufacturer's warranty. So I think in a lot of instances, from what I've seen, it may take a month or sometimes even longer for us to receive those watches. And that is in sharp contrast to watches from, say, Ashford.com or Jomashop, where we can get the watches overnight, or in most cases, within 2 or 3 days. So, if we have that kind of patience, almost that stock market mentality where we have to check Drop almost every day to see if that minimum threshold has been met, and if we have patience, then I think Drop is going to be a great option for us. If we don't have that kind of patience, then it's not going to be for us. Part of that risk, though, is if we are willing to wait for that minimum orders to be met on Drop, there is a likelihood that if we are interested in that watch that another gray market dealer has, we could lose out on that. And while I have seen some pretty great brands carried by Drop, I've seen brands like Seiko's, Armand Nicolay, Ball, Vostok, Glycine. Their inventory is limited as of the moment compared to, say, Ashford.com or Jomashop. And Jomashop is by far and away, they have the biggest inventory. In fact, Jomashop is kind of sort of the unofficial AD to other gray market dealers. So, for example, Sears, and if some of you still remember Sears or thought Sears didn't exist anymore, they do. And Sears' online store actually carries Tudor watches. And there is a disclaimer on Sears' website that indicates that they source the Tudor from Jomashop. So, while Jomashop may not be the cheapest gray market dealer, it's because everybody gets a piece of the pie from Jomashop. So now let's talk about one of the biggest advantages for Massdrop. For Drop, and that's their transparency. So unlike a lot of the gray market dealers, one of our biggest skepticisms or concerns or sketchiness, if you will, is where do those gray markets source their watches from? Although I do believe now it's becoming a little bit more commonly known that a lot of the gray markets get their watches directly from other ADs who weren't able to unload those watches. And a lot of times they actually come directly from the watch manufacturer, sort of a under the table kind of deal, minus the warranty. So, but none of that is confirmed on those gray market dealers. It is widely known though, but with Drop, they are transparent because on their website, they will actually let us know which brands are, or which brand they've partnered with. So we know we are getting the watch directly from those brands with the actual brands or manufacturer's warranty. That is a huge plus for us. So who does that actually affect? Well, while that is very beneficial to us as consumers, I think the biggest source that is going to affect has to be the brick and mortar or boutique stores. Because one of the biggest advantages that a boutique would have, and the biggest bragging right that they could boast, is that they are ADs for the brand when they would get the watches directly from them, including the manufacturer's warranty. However, now this is sort of like undercutting or undermining the boutiques, because the same brands are actually providing drop with their watches and the manufacturer's warranty. So the boutiques aren't able to compete at price-wise with these online stores, and their biggest advantages that they had is no longer an advantage to them. Do I think that drop is any more of a villain to boutiques as any other online stores? No, because they found a niche and they are doing something very legitimate. It's just the way that the world is changing that benefits the consumers. But yes, I think it will actually directly negatively have an impact on boutiques. And while I kind of like this new way for us to be able to buy our watches, it has definitely piqued my interest. And I think it is a great advantage to be able to get name brand watches at really great deals. I'm not so sure that this is going to be the future of watch shopping, because those other stores, for example, like Ashford.com or Jomashop, I still think have a very distinct and strong advantage over drop at the moment, which their two advantages are the inventory and for us to be able to get the watch when we want. So if we're interested in a watch, we'll be able to order it and get it when we want. There is no waiting period. There is no risk that others won't be interested in it. We'd be able to get those watches right away. I would say one other disadvantage with drop, though it may not be a direct disadvantage if it works out for us, but that is the return policy. So for example, with Ashford and Jomashop, we're able to return the watches within their return policy, which I believe is 30 days, at least with Jomashop. But with Jomashop, there is an issue. So there is a restocking fee with Jomashop. So if the watch is more than $4,000, they charge a 4% restocking fee, which means that it adds up to $160, because 4% of $4,000 is $160. That is kind of a pretty large pill to swallow, but that is their Jomashop's policy. With drop, all sales are final, which makes sense because they've made deals and partnered with the brands for minimum order to be met. However, we are able to return the watch only if the watch is damaged or in any way, or it doesn't live up to what they were marketing the watch as, and then in that case we can return the watch. And it is a legitimate return, meaning it is not for store credit. The return comes back to the original form of payment, and there is no restocking fee with drop. So, the risk is, of course, if we don't like the way that it looks on our wrist, we can't use that as an excuse to return the watch. So we're going to have to be pretty sure that we're going to like that watch. And if we are, then I think that is really not that big of an issue with that return policy from drop. Right now, because of the lack of inventory and that precise business model, I don't think drop is making other gray market dealers lose any sleep, but I am willing to bet that a drop is definitely on their radar. And if drop continues to have or be wildly successful and are able to sell through their watches and gain more brands as partners, then I think that Ashford.com or Jomashop or anyone else is going to start incorporating that same business model. But they will segue into that a little by little, because there is still something to be said about ordering the watch when we want and getting the watch when we want without fingers crossed and praying that others share that interest. I will say something about that minimum order being met. That I would say that would definitely encourage participation. So for me, if I saw a watch that I was interested in, I am likely to talk to that about that with my buddy and encourage him to also get in on that deal to help ensure me that minimum threshold is met, and so I could end up getting that watch. Do I think that this is going to be the ultimate way for us to buy our watches? Again, I'm not sure about that. I don't have that much patience because if I am interested in something, I would prefer to get that right away. However, if I see a watch that I am interested in and I can live without it and it is a great deal and the watch comes directly from the brand with the manufacturer's warranty, then sure, I might be willing to take that chance and wait on that watch. But I don't, like I said, generally have that kind of patience where I have to have that stock market mentality to be checking the status of that watch daily. But it would have to be a watch that I hasn't been on my mind a ton, but something that has crossed my mind lately, and then I could see going for a watch on drop. I think it's going to be exciting to continue to monitor the success and growth of drop. If drop continues to be wildly successful and their sell-throughs are quick, I think that's only going to continue to benefit us, the watch consumer. So what I mean by that is, for example, if they're able to sell through their Panerais really quickly and efficiently, then I think there is a greater likelihood that the parent company that owns Panerai, which is Richemont, might be more likely to include their other lineup of watches, whether it's a Jaeger-LeCoultre or an IWC with drop. And if so, then that could provide a lower minimum threshold, which benefits us. And I think that's going to be really exciting to see the direction of drop if they continue to soar the way that they are. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you the next time. So does that mean that drip drop? Every now and again. So with Massdrop, so with drop,